Trump says this war ends in 2 to 3 weeks. Iran says it is prepared to fight for at least 6 months. And tonight, Trump addresses the nation on Iran, with no deal signed, no ceasefire declared, and a war that has just entered its most dangerous week yet. Meanwhile, the IRGC has threatened to destroy the regional offices of Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Boeing, and 11 other American companies, starting tonight at 8 p.m. Tehran time, day 32. The endgame has begun, but nobody agrees on what the end looks like. Here is everything you need to know right now. Development 1. Trump says the war ends in 2 to 3 weeks. President Trump said Tuesday that the United States could be done with its war against Iran within 2 to 3 weeks, and that Iran does not even need to sign a deal for it to happen. His exact framing: all I have to do is leave Iran, and we'll be doing that very soon. This is a significant shift. For the first time, Trump is publicly suggesting an off-ramp that does not require Iran to formally capitulate or reopen the Strait of Hormuz on American terms. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump told White House staff he would be open to ending the war even without the strait fully reopening. Markets immediately surged on the news, the best trading day in nearly a year. Trump is reading the political and economic pressure correctly. Gas prices have hit $4 a gallon, the highest since 2022. Public opposition to the war is at 59%. The economic damage is now visible in every American's daily life. The war may be ending, but on whose terms and with what left standing is still entirely unresolved. Development 2. Iran says 6 months. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi went on Al Jazeera and said Tehran is prepared for at least 6 months of war. His exact words: "We do not set any deadlines for defending ourselves. We will defend our country and our people as far as necessary and by any means required." He also dismissed Trump's claims of serious discussions with a new, more reasonable Iranian regime. Quote, "Negotiation is when two countries engage in talks to reach an agreement, and such a thing does not exist between us and the United States. Two timelines, 2 to 3 weeks versus 6 months. Both cannot be right." What this gap reveals is that both sides are still fighting for position, trying to lock in the best possible outcome before whatever ending comes. Trump is signaling he wants out. Iran is signaling it can outlast him. The next 2 to 3 weeks will determine who is correct. Development 3. The IRGC threatens Apple, Google, and Microsoft. This is the development that changes everything. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a direct threat today against 17 American technology companies, including Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, IBM, HP, Intel, Tesla, Boeing, and JP Morgan. The IRGC's logic: these companies provide the AI and technology infrastructure used in targeting operations that kill Iranian officials. They are therefore legitimate military targets. The threat is specific and timed. Starting at 8 p.m. Tehran time tonight, April 1st, the IRGC said these companies should expect the destruction of their relevant units in the Gulf region in response to each assassination carried out in Iran. The IRGC called on employees of American tech firms in the region to immediately distance themselves from their workplaces. It called on residents near those offices to evacuate. This is not rhetorical. Iran has demonstrated the capability and willingness to strike civilian infrastructure across the Gulf repeatedly in this war. Kuwait's airport fuel depots are on fire right now from an Iranian drone strike that hit today. If Iran strikes a Google or Apple campus in the Gulf, even a minor facility, the political and economic consequences would be unlike anything this war has produced so far. Development 4. Kuwait airport is on fire. An Iranian drone struck the fuel depots at Kuwait International Airport today, sparking a large fire. Kuwait is not a combatant in this war. It is a neutral Gulf state hosting significant American military infrastructure. Iran has now struck its airport. This is the third significant strike on Kuwaiti infrastructure in this war, following the earlier attack on the Mina al-Ahmadi refinery. Iran is systematically demonstrating that Gulf neutrality is not a protection from Iranian retaliation. The message to every Gulf state is clear. Hosting American forces makes you a target, and the cost of that hosting is going up every week. Development 5. Trump threatens to destroy everything. On Monday, Trump posted on Truth Social that if a deal is not reached soon and the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened, the United States will conclude the war by destroying all of Iran's power plants, oil wells, Karg Island, and possibly all of its desalination plants. Destroying Iran's desalination plants would cut off clean water to millions of Iranian civilians, a threshold that would draw international condemnation at a scale this war has not yet produced. Trump is simultaneously signaling he wants to end the war in 2 to 3 weeks and threatening the most destructive escalation of the entire conflict. Both signals are real. Both are being sent at the same time. This is maximum pressure negotiating, threatening catastrophic consequences to force a faster resolution. Whether it works depends entirely on whether Iran believes the threat is credible. Based on 32 days of evidence, Iran has reason to take it seriously. Development 6. Iran is targeting pharmaceutical plants. Today's US-Israeli strikes hit pharmaceutical companies in Isfahan alongside steel plants in Bushehr. This is a new targeting category. Strikes on pharmaceutical manufacturing raise serious humanitarian concerns. Medicines for Iran's civilian population are produced in these facilities. At the same time, Iran's IRGC was caught this week attempting to weaponize an opioid at least 50 times stronger than heroin in a factory that was subsequently struck by Israeli forces. The line between civilian pharmaceutical manufacturing and weapons development is being deliberately blurred by both sides. Iran using civilian facilities for weapons research, the US and Israel striking those facilities and accepting the humanitarian criticism that follows. This is the most morally complex battlefield of the entire war. Development 7. Europe is heading into recession. The economic damage from this war is no longer a future projection. It is happening now. The European Central Bank warned this week that a prolonged conflict will likely trigger stagflation and push Germany and Italy into technical recession by the end of 2026. Shell's CEO warned that Europe could face a fuel shortage as early as April. This month, British supermarket Asda is already reporting fuel shortages at its stations. Australia's government says fuel deliveries are assured only until mid-April. 220,000 Indian nationals have been evacuated from Gulf states. Chemical and steel manufacturers across Europe have imposed surcharges of up to 30% to offset surging energy costs. The IMF warns of food insecurity in low-income economies that depend on affordable oil. This is no longer a Middle East war. It is a global economic crisis, and it is accelerating. Development 8. The Bushehr nuclear plant is under threat. Iran's only functioning nuclear power plant at Bushehr has been struck by projectiles multiple times this month, Iranian authorities confirmed. Approximately 300 Russian specialists remain at the facility, following a series of evacuations, down from a larger workforce, as Russia's Rosatom continues pulling personnel out. Russia has explicitly warned Israel and the United States against striking nuclear power plants. Russia's warning is the one red line in this war that carries genuine superpower weight. A strike on Bushehr that causes a nuclear incident, even a minor one, would trigger a geopolitical crisis involving Russia, the IAEA, and the UN Security Council simultaneously. Both sides know this. The plant has been hit nearby. It has not been struck directly. That distinction is being maintained deliberately, for now. Development 9. Trump's national address tonight. Tonight, Trump addresses the nation on Iran. He has signaled the war could end in 2 to 3 weeks. He has threatened to destroy everything. He has extended deadlines and then threatened to remove them entirely. Tonight's address will tell us which Trump we are dealing with. The one looking for the exit, or the one threatening the most destructive escalation of the entire conflict. The content of that address will move markets, shift diplomatic calculations, and determine the trajectory of the next 2 weeks more than any single missile strike has. Every government in the Middle East is watching tonight. Every oil trader in the world is watching tonight. Every Iranian military commander is watching tonight. And the question all of them are trying to answer is the same one nobody currently knows. Does Trump actually want out? Or is the off-ramp a negotiating tactic to get Iran to accept terms it has already rejected? Development 10. What the next 48 hours decide. The IRGC threat against American tech companies expires tonight. Either Iran strikes and the war enters a completely new phase involving American corporate targets, or it doesn't, and the threat is revealed as a bluff that weakens Iran's future deterrence. Trump addresses the nation tonight. The content of that address will determine whether the diplomatic track accelerates or collapses. Iran has said it will fight for 6 months. Trump has said 2 to 3 weeks. Both clocks are running simultaneously. The April 6th deadline for Iranian power plant strikes is 5 days away. No deal has been signed. The strait is still closed. Gas is $4 a gallon. Europe is heading into recession. And tonight, the President of the United States goes on national television to tell the American people what happens next. 32 days in. The endgame has begun. But the end itself, what it looks like, who wins, and what is left standing when it is over, is still being decided right now, in real time, by decisions being made in the next 48 hours. We will cover every development as it happens. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. What do you think Trump announces tonight? An exit strategy? An escalation? Or something nobody is expecting? Drop your answer below. The most accurate read gets pinned.